When I heard that Tanya Tucker hadn't made a record in the better part of 15 years,
here we go.
I suddenly realized how potent an influence Tanya Tucker has been on women in country music. And I wondered why the world has forgotten. And I wondered why I'd forgotten.
Brandi. Hi, I feel like I know you.
I want this record to be a renaissance period in her life.
I got a chorus that as I bring my flowers now while I'm living, that's as far as I got with it.
We can write it and put it on this record. Like, that belongs on this record.
My dad looked across the table at me when I was about 9 years old. And he says, Tanya, do you want to stay here for the rest of your life here in Wilcox, or do you want to go be a star? And I said, well, Daddy, that's not much of a choice. I want to be a star.
I'm ready when you are.
All right. Well, let's give it a whirl, shall we?
The snow don't fall.
Would you say your dad, like, gave you your audacity?
Oh, yeah. Never give up. Seems like I'm rushing my words.
You're perfect. Every time you thought it was you, it's them.
After losing my parents, you know, I really kind of lost my mojo. I couldn't imagine anybody managing me but my dad.
All right, let's do it again.
And I get better every time.
Tanya's voice is in all of us that sing country music. Do you want to be the talk of the town again?
I toss and turn with that sometimes.
There's all these people that are watching that are wondering, is she going to make it?
Say a prayer. I need it.
The great Tanya Tucker. I think it's a really beautiful thing to see somebody that strong showing vulnerability in the way that she is.
Hello.
Julie Goldman says to say hi.
Oh, I was going to mention Julie.
Yeah. That was one of the first things she said.
Yeah.
Tell Adam hi.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad I was thinking about her, and I wasn't sure if she would, if you were going to be talking to her. That's awesome. Yeah. She told you our history.
No, I didn't even know. She truly was like on this, the email chain that we were going to do this, but yeah, we haven't talked since you sent that, which was like yesterday.
Okay. Well, I can only tell you that she has known me and I her longer than anybody else in the world, because we met in summer camp when we were kids.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And not too far from you were at the Woodstock Film Festival recently, as I was, and we were ships that, unfortunately, I met one of your posse, but because they had all sorts of questions about the setup and everything, but I was just moderating stuff, and but anyway, I went a little south of there, you know.
Oh wow, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's great to meet you. I was just looking. I was wanted to make sure the theaters. Where is it? What theater is the Return of Tanya Tucker? The Return of Tanya Tucker featuring Brandi Carlile. Where is it playing in L.A.?
In L.A., it's at the Laemmle Royal.
Okay.
And the Sunset 5.
Excellent.
And we're doing Q&As tonight at 7 and tomorrow at 7.
Well, so probably by the time this gets out there, that will be past tense. But it's good to know that you're doing Q&As. Is anybody joining you for that?
My DP Jessica Young is actually she's going to join tonight. Tomorrow, we just found out she has to take off and go film, as is the life of a cinematographer with Bon Jovi.
Oh.
Be me and hopefully some people in the theater, because Los Angeles theatrical is hard. I will say that.
Right. I just noticed, speaking of which, in New York, it was at the AMC.
And the Angelica.
And and the Angelica Film Center, of course, in the Village, and the AMC Lincoln Square. That's often the case.
There you go.
Yeah, they're usually. I noticed they're oftentimes. Well, it was a whole lot of fun. You know, I'm also in radio, so you know, and I mean, I work at a radio station as well, music radio station. So, you know, when I just been especially, you know, trying to keep an ear out for an eye for music docs. And
Yeah.
now, is it true that Brandi Carlile, your partner, reached out to
Her
it's
wife.
the other way around. Brandi's wife reached out to you about what was originally supposed to be shooting shooting the record, the recording sessions, essentially the making of this new comeback album. I know Tanya never really wanted it to be,
not her turn,
she's right, it's Brandi's. And within 24 hours you were on it, right? And then very shortly you saw, oh, this is a much bigger story than just making the album. This is
exactly like us on a Sunday morning. I got a text from Kathlyn Carlile that said, "You want to hear something crazy?"
Mm-hmm.
Of course I did. How do you not say? No, I don't.
No, maybe some other time. Go ahead.
So I did, and then we hopped on the phone and with Brandi, and Brandi told me that she had this opportunity to produce, along with Shooter Jennings, Waylon Jennings' son.
Yeah, we know.
Tanya Tucker's first record in about 17 years. And she told me she had consulted with Rick Rubin in general for the project, obviously because of Johnny Cash's American recordings.
Oh yeah.
And so Brandi was looking for advice on how do you produce an album for a legend and your hero. And so among the other things they talked about, he said, make sure you document it.
Rick said, document it. Right. Yeah.
And so she said, what do you think? Do you want to do it? And I said, yes, or hell yes. And when do we start? And she said, tomorrow. So I said, wow. Give me an hour and let me pull some things. Like, yes, but like, let me figure it out. And luckily, Jessica Young, my DP, was available. My friend Denise Plum, who could come in and help field produce. There's like all the right people, just in its tiny little crew, because we wanted it to be small and intimate. They were available.
Too bad you didn't have my contact information. I could make coffee. I could be.
Oh,
ready.
yeah.
I would have been available like that for you.
That would have been very useful.
I'm a big fan of these women are just amazing. And I've been
truly like, it was, and we didn't know, Brandi didn't even know. It was like, I don't even know if Tanya's going to show up. So I've worked with Brandi in the past. I did a music video for her and a piece for her foundation. And we met through mutual friends, Indigo Girls, like, 10, 15 years before. God. So I think she was also comfortable, like, whatever happens here. It
was just a little affair of fantastic music going on there.
Totally. Yeah.
So, and what was going to, and I would love at some opportunity, I don't know if we'll have time today, but you're also, when I was doing some research on you, some of the projects, I think the IF project in particular really resonated with me, what I saw from it, and I'd like to see the whole thing. So great. I think it's on Vimeo or something.
I'll send you a link.
Okay, that's great. My girlfriend, I don't want to get too caught up in my thing, but my girlfriend happens to teach college to prisoners. So
oh really? Well, that's like so the IF project, just I'm going to continue this tangent because once I began that project, we started about 13 years ago. Brandi's foundation is a supporter. She went in and played for the women in prison, so it's all interrelated still,
right? Which circles back to Johnny Cash, which circles back to Rick Rubin, which comes back to Tanya Tucker.
We're all in a circle.
Well, Johnny Cash, I mean, Johnny Cash, I mean, you got to give him props. He went to Folsom and he went to
and I'm talking to Tanya about going in to perform at one of women's prisons in Nashville. Point being is that film really launched a nonprofit, and so we still do the work today. And we take the film, we take a speaking team. I now go in and take still photographs to continue the storytelling. So the IF project. So we need to discuss to get the film and the work, because we bring it to men's prisons, women's prisons, wherever. Sorry, carry on.
Well, it sounds like
it's my passion, life's work. So anything in that vein I'm excited to talk
you
about.
got some really, you're building quite a really interesting legacy of work, and I would say that there's now maybe something should be called the Brandi Carlile touch, because how could you have asked for a better story structure than what played out in this film? I mean, there's so many ways it could have gone awry.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel eternally grateful and lucky to have been there, because a lot of what happened is just what happened, and having the right team there, particularly in the studio, to sort of know how to disappear in a room and let the intimacy happen what happened. And seeing them meet for the first time was just incredible, and the nerves that both Shooter and Brandi had. And Tanya comes in, and then instantaneously, or as I was continuing to move forward with this, as the days passed, it just seemed apparent that the way to tell Tanya's story was through kind of Brandi's lens, and having a movie that feels like Tanya also. There's a version of the film that initially was like, we'll do interviews, like more of a traditional biopic structure. But I'm more of like a verite, fly on the wall filmmaker. So this also kind of pulled it into a realm and wanted to construct it in a way that felt like you're there and felt intimate. Because to me, I think the best things that any biopic type film can achieve is deeper intimacy with the subject, because there's so much to tell about Tanya's life that you could never capture it in one film.
Yeah, there definitely is a broader story, obviously, or about Tanya Tucker. Yeah, which is clear if you're watching closely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll say one thing, and I don't mean that to sound like, oh, it's all dark. I mean, it's an incredible story with incredible highs, and she sounded like she had some great parents. And I mean, it's, which is usually a lifeline for most people. You have really good parents and a strong home. You most likely will be okay.
Yeah. To your earlier question too about Brandi and Tanya, but this all kind of goes the same about the people that are around you, and how that supports your life, particularly for artists that are in the spotlight and have a lot of stress, and there's so much that goes with it, and scrutiny, and but the one piece about this film is the thread of Tanya losing her parents, and therefore she lost her way. But in step Brandi and Shooter and these other folks, but Brandi in particular, who Tanya trusted, and I think felt a lot like that presence of her father, and the guidance, and knowing when to sort of push and knowing when to let back. And there was a familiarity between them that was like, it's like they'd known each other forever, as Tanya says. And so as that community builds out, and Tanya also had these great people around her, Loretta Lynn as the theme and a thread through the film, and her friendship.
Her as her mentor, for those who don't know, and who just passed away a couple of weeks, a week and change.
Yeah, which is a huge loss for Tanya, a huge loss for the community and the world. My God, that woman. But I'm grateful that we get to see a glimpse of their friendship. And because ultimately what this film is about too is exactly that. It's these intergenerational friendships and how to support each other. Brandi supporting Tanya getting past the grief with her parents who always supported her, Loretta supporting Tanya, and what that really means about community and friendship, and how we need to remember that and support each other, regardless of the circumstances.
What did, well, first of all, I just as by way of curiosity, since you brought up Loretta Lynn, did she get to see the film before she passed away?
No, and that was, my mission was to go to Loretta's with Tanya. Like I had all these big ideas of wanted to go hang out with Loretta Lynn. But I had been asking her, her health wasn't great. And I was hoping potentially just to go to her place and screen it once it felt like the right time. And that didn't happen, which is a huge bummer. But I will say in the film, Tanya performs for like her biggest show with this song, Bring My Flowers Now, at Loretta's birthday concert. And no one really wanted us there because it's a big star-studded affair. Like all of country glitterati was there. And we got a no at first. And then we got a yes because of Loretta and Loretta's daughter. Cause she's like, hey, if you're doing this with Tanya, anything for Tanya. So it was, and that they gave us the footage. They gave us that, like, basically it's like whatever Tanya needs, you can have it.
And by the way, a lot of the archive or footage. I mean, this is from Tanya's own. She was sounds like her family is fastidious with their or hoarders, whichever you want to however you want to look at it.
It was definitely so after we started filming in January of 2019, continued all the way through to January 2020, and that was principal photography, and then we had to start digging in the archives, like Tanya's personal archives. And so that was an incredible couple weeks in Nashville. And I had asked Tanya, because I'd seen in some of her early music videos of hers that there was some Super 8 footage, and that I knew that it existed. And she was like, I think, that's like in a trailer out in Oklahoma. Somebody took that and I don't know where it is. It's like, well, I'm going to find it. I know I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
And so we go to her house, start digging through her basement, and there are just boxes and boxes of all kinds of stuff. And as I was saying this to someone earlier, like they open a box and there was a People magazine with Glenn Campbell and her, a photo of her as a kid on a horse or playing in a bar or something. And then there's an envelope with her baby teeth in it. So it was like that.
Wow. Yeah. So
which
they
I'm
kept
sure,
everything. Yeah.
which is like, definitely, I'm sure there's like a witch's potion out there that's like an eye of newt, Elvis's chest hair, Tucker's baby
Glenn
teeth.
Campbell's
I don't
know, guitar strings.
Yeah, if you put all those together, something amazing is going to happen. But then in the very back corner box underneath all these boxes, this was after a couple days of pulling through like just tons and tons of boxes, which were like tacitly organized. The very bottom box underneath the VHS and the beta and the 3/4 inch tapes opened it up, truly the last box, and there are all these spools and spools of Super 8 film. I was like, oh my God, I finally found it. And so as you see in the film, like her father, they were really not rich. But he had the sense about him to spend money on these things which was filming things and actually filming them incredibly well. Like they're beautifully shot pieces. And it's a huge bummer to have had to pare down and only put in what I could, because there's just hours and hours of.
Were you able to give her at least like converted tapes for her? Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So I've got everything digitized, and I keep telling her we're gonna go, like because I want to watch it with her and hear her stories, because you go from her as a kid all the way up to like teenager, you see the entire journey of her career. But for us, the Super 8 was important in order to integrate it with the Verite, because we don't want the archival to feel so different. Like, now let me tell you this, and having Verite filling archive with that Super 8 film, it feels more integrated. Present day footage, so it's more stepping back on these kind of dreamlike memories. And we wanted very much for that stuff to be in Tanya's voice. So we always kept coming back to like anyone that's talking in that is largely Tanya, because so much of her life, or for the media's portrayal of her, has been other people telling her story. And so that was a lot of the guiding principle, is just keep going back to like, let Tanya talk.
Yes. It's interesting. I just got off, also did another interview for my podcast, this also on a very different musical figure, but Louis Armstrong, but it was also sorry,
I'm dying to see that.
You should definitely see it. And it also has a lot of incredible archive, really shown for the first time, I think. And what he had also, just real quick, is he owned a reel-to-reel audio recorder, and just recorded himself talking apparently for like hours. And he had a whole wall of these tapes that were also converted for this. So that filmmaker, Sasha Jenkins, had an opportunity to also get this incredible way into his head, into a part of him that nobody else had really seen before or known about. And so it sounds like, and so Tanya, what did she finally make of your final film, and was she okay with the title?
So Return, she was good. I picked the Return because it feels like a Western kind of, and part of the opening is a font. Like I knew she would dig that for sure, is that it feels like, you know, it is kind of a Western title, and she's, you know, she's a real and true cowgirl.
That's true.
And Return is fine, because that's more like relaunch to her than Comeback, because
Right.
Comeback really
Suggests
was like,
you were, yeah.
gone, and Return is a little bit I don't know, it doesn't have the same
It's subtle.
yeah, it's subtle, and it gives a Western feel, and it feels like a legend, you know, it's got that kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah,
But
sure.
she chose to see it for the first time at our premiere at South by Southwest, which was a terrifying experience for me, but
my God.
also, yeah.
You were just staring at the back of her head or something, or
Oh
over?
yeah, I was actually sitting next to her son.
Oh, okay.
It was the most fun film. Like it was really ended up being a blast, but you know, I didn't, number one, I think it's the best way a person can experience a film, especially that's about themselves, is with an audience, because you're not in your head about it and you're hearing people laugh and have the other responses. So I really wanted that, but I also
Right.
was like, you know, what if she hates it? And what if she walks?
There's that. Yeah.
So, but I was sitting next to her son, Grayson, and her daughter, Presley, and her boyfriend, Craig, and like then Tanya and Brandi, and a lot of other family and friends were there. So it was, you know, she loved it. Everyone loved it. And her daughter and her actually, Grayson kept looking over at me with like tears in his eyes, because he was seeing the footage of his grandfather. And so it was very emotionally moving for them. And Presley, her daughter, said to me afterwards, like, that's my mom. And that's, you know, I want it to be true. And obviously the people you care most about, the family and the people close to the person, seeing that it's true, you know, that and that they enjoyed it.
Sure.
And Tanya enjoyed it too. But then like I got, just before we went to Telluride, I get these texts from her. I don't know about that part. Like she's like, I must have been in the bathroom. I'm not sure about that.
You got
so
notes.
then we talk about it. It's like, and I had said to her, it's like, Tanya, if you love every single aspect of this film that I didn't do a good job, you know, this is real and true. And I know you're not going to like 100% of everything, but this is the whole. And she loves it. She enjoys it, but it's kind of like the scene in the film where she hears.
Right. Yeah. I was going to draw a parallel between her same experience she was having with the album that we're talking, that this documentary really is about, the making of, and where she also kept obsessing over her vocals and songs. And Brandi is like, hey, you know, this is the real Tanya Tucker in the moment. We're capturing you right now in the moment. And so it's and she was able to hear that. So maybe likewise, she understood. It
is the same thing. I mean, that's like with Tanya, she and I wondered how it was going to go, because she is such a perfectionist, and she has like an incredible ear, particularly, I mean, for her music, that I was I expected I was going to get. She was going to look at the film and have thoughts and notes, but because she didn't make it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not it's not her creation. So I was wondering what her perspective would be about it. Sure. And I think I was actually concerned that she was going to, about the vulnerability and stuff in the studio. I was wondering what she might like or not like. And she actually said that she thinks it's important for people to see that vulnerability, particularly in the creative realm, and pushing through things. And because, you know, she ultimately wants to bring joy to people and make people feel happy and good. You know, that's what she, in terms of what she gives to the world through her work and through her art and craft. So it worked out. I mean, she's still going to text me things she doesn't like about that. It's never going to end. So like maybe you shouldn't watch it anymore. But I do send her some, like, people who write me after they've seen the film. This guy walked out of our screening in Toronto, like a big burly
at the festival.
Yeah, the festival, the Toronto Film Festival. Yeah. A big burly man walked out with misty-eyed and was telling me how much joy, and he's a musician as well, it brought him. And then he wrote me on Instagram this really beautiful message, and he brought his mom, who was a day one Tanya Tucker fan. And so I send those things to Tanya, and that just means the world to her. Like, that really does, like, that touches her heart. So she's pleased, and and we just did some press stuff in New York, and she had a blast. So it's like she's enjoying it. That's the other part that you know, you see in the film, that the dog and pony show part of things is not what many artists love. And that's like
especially once they've been around a while. I mean, yeah,
exactly. And so part
they've done 10,000 interviews and, you
for
know,
sure,
however many step and repeats and
exactly. And it's like, oh, I got to do this again. I do this again. And you're yourself, but you're sort of the version of yourself, the entertainment side.
Right.
So I thought, oh God, I'm like, part of making this film is like, I'm gonna have to put her, she's gonna have to do this for the film and this thing she doesn't love. And it turns out that she's actually enjoying it.
Well, I'm so happy. Good. Well, Julie Goldman,
Julie Goldman's
one of the producers,
yes.
Motto Pictures. Great luck and your company's Tin Fish, right? That's you.
Yeah. And so it's Julie Goldman, Christopher Clements, Carolyn Hepburn, and Daniel Torres, producers and co-producer.
And the name of the film is The Return of Tanya Tucker, featuring Brandi Carlile, and it is currently in theaters in New York and Los Angeles. And it's Kathlyn, right? Kathlyn?
Yes, Kathlyn.
Kathlyn Horan.
And it'll Kathlyn, yeah, exactly.
Horan?
It's Horan or Horan. My parents are from
Come on.
But up north where my folks are from is Horan, but when I grew up in Georgia and down there it became Horan.
Okay,
So
but is your mom around?
My mom she would say Horan down south. So we'll go with Horan.
We'll go with Horan. Where up north are you from?
They're from Buffalo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They came down. I was born and raised in Georgia. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's really nice to meet you, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, I would love it. And I'll get your contact to send you a copy.